I've been telling people that I probably was going to have to be starting to sell off some of my Morse taper shank drills. And here's a good example why. I already have quite a few of these, and I just got a whole nother pile of them here. So that's a straight shank one right there. For the most part, though, these are Morse taper. There's one there was sharpened and coated with the coating to protect it. This coating's so old it's cracking off. Not gonna bore you guys. It's the usual. It's all nice, good brand, USA branded, you know, Cleveland twist drill, etc., etc. All the good stuff. Wow, that's weird. Look at that thing. Anywho, that looks like somebody was drilling through thin material or brass or something, maybe. Plastic. To grind that sucker like that. There's another one. I guarantee you, I can almost guarantee you, I only gave like 10 or 15 bucks for that whole draw, because otherwise I wouldn't have bothered. Here's even more. These envelopes, these MSC envelopes, these are all loaded with brand new drill bits. Okay? So, multiples of the same size. These are number 27, so these are number drill bits. Not all of these. 11/64ths, cobalt. High-speed steel 11/64ths. And it just envelope after envelope. Mosquito in here. After envelope, 1/8. Another seriously ground Cleveland wedge. Brand new, never used. Lathe tools, cutters. Oh, I thought these were all identical, but they're not. They're left hand and right hand. A lathe dog. Oh, know what that is? It's a stud for hold downs from the lathe, from the mill. Drill bits, drill bits, drill bits. Oh, that's nice. Boring bar. Looks like it's in good shape. And this interesting little slice of heaven right here. This is actually a attachment for, this is a cutter for cutting threads for a thread cutting Loris holder. So it's actually marked, it's marked right on here, a Loris P4 HS 60 degree. So it's high speed steel, and it means that this is ground to 60 degree profile for thread cutting. So I don't think I have a, I'm almost positive I don't have the proper thing that this is supposed to go on. But I could either resell this to somebody who does have one, or the other thing I was thinking I could do is I could maybe make something easy enough to attach this to that I could hold in one of my regular Loris tool holding attachments. And another cardboard box failure. So let's see. So that's a Morse taper adapter. Looks like to go from a 3 to a 4. What do you call that? A counter bore? The idea that you've got already a hole, an existing hole, and this pilot will follow that existing hole and enlarge it. Also can be used for when you want to make a pocket at the top of a threaded hole for a cap screw head to be recessed. Another size. Another one of those funky cutters. You know, this could be a boring bar now that I look at it. Maybe this is a boring bar. Bocum 7, Detroit. So earlier in this series I came across this thing, and now I know that this says Bocum 7 also. Actually, this says Bocum 75JS. But I think now I know that this is a boring bar. This is a whole envelope of Greenfield Industries of Augusta, Georgia. Drill bits, general purpose, 1/4 inch. This is just loaded with brand new drill bits. And then these are some other new ones that fell out of an envelope somewhere. This is a brooch that's either been sharpened or is new. Since it's engraved, I'm assuming this was probably sharpened. This is a big straight flute reamer, pretty large one. This is a Morse 1 1/16 inch of New Bedford, Massachusetts reamer, and it's practically looks. I think this is brand new, and it's been stored poorly, and yet the flutes all look and feel razor sharp, and they don't look like they have any damage. So we'll have to try and take care of that. Here's a couple more of these counter boring. Tap, another drill bit. Here's a nice little boring bar. Do not see a maker on this. There is some numbers on here, but I can't quite make them out. All I need to concern myself with is that there is actually a carbide insert in there now, so I should be able to find maybe some carbide inserts and all those carbide inserts that I have that'll fit in here, and I'll have another little boring bar. Nothing wrong with that. Speaking of, oh, this is interesting. This is brazed on here, a little piece of carbide. That looks like that has one job in the world, which is to cut a very narrow internal groove, maybe for an internal snap ring, as opposed to this is more just your typical boring bar. Can't reach too far in with that one, but it certainly would have some rigidity. Just a little short stubby drill bit. Morse taper countersink. Oh, tiny little boring bar. That looks brand new. USA APT MA3. MA3. 3/8 inch shank, 1/8 minimum APT mini boring bar. Another stub drill. It's been sharpened and coated. And a center drill that apparently was sharpened and coated, and coating probably just fell off that end. Why would you sharpen one end and not the other, right? So a nice little pile of goodies there. Alright guys, this is the last of it. We're in the home stretch here. These boxes right here are all taps. Brand new North Attleboro Taps Incorporated, which I'm not even familiar with that company. I've never heard that name before, but these are all brand new taps. The boxes aren't quite full. Like this entire box right here is all the same size. They're 1024, 5 millimeter. This is interesting. I wonder if it says 2 right hand, 1 left hand. One of these days we'll go through the taps and we'll sort them out. 5 millimeter by 0.8. This little inconspicuous block of steel, I recognize this as being for a jig or attachment for sharpening cutters. I've got one of these on one of my cutter grinders right now. I've got another one I found very similar to this, but this is basically, this is precision ground on one side here. So that's the deal behind there. Scrap of steel, again for a small project. This little square piece of stock right here, this might be key stock for large keys, for larger shaft pulleys. Piece of brass shim stock. The like this lowly little this is like one of the few. I think it might have been one other collet in this whole load that I was able to find. But I snagged this one because A, I mean it's a 5C collet, but A, it's a Hardinge, good brand name collet. B, it's a hex collet. I don't have any hex collets. Now I do. Some grinding wheels, assorted grinding wheels here. Norton. They look brand new. And my favorite, this one right here, because I think this fits right on my Hammond grinder. And that was exactly the way I found it, just like this. Packed in a box with sawdust, but the box was all torn and the sawdust was all falling out, so I just took it out and grabbed it. Okay. 2 wrenches. This one is a Williams 808 by the looks of it. Great shape. Okay, that would be a good tailstock wrench for tightening the nut that clamps down the tailstock on a large lathe, if you have the type of lathe that has that kind of setup. And here's a small one. This is also a Williams. I don't know what size that is. This weird little scraper right here. Okay. I don't know who makes this, but it's called a hook scraper number 25. Sure, a quick Google would tell me exactly who makes this, but I thought it was kind of an interesting little scraper. I don't exactly understand why, but there's a little trap door in the bottom of this right here. So what would you keep stored in there? Short pencil? I don't know. Hook scraper number 25. Anybody know what the purpose of that would be? A very old looking can of Lubriplate 115 water pump grease. Feels like it's full. And last but not least, nice little find right here. Okay, box says Jacobs, and what this is a set of Jacobs flex collets. Okay, J915 through 920. And the way these work is, if I wish I had it, but I couldn't find it anywhere there. If I had the Jacobs Flex collet chuck, basically the way these work, this is rubber with little metal fingers in between. And when this is inserted into the special chuck, the chuck has a large outer hand wheel that you rotate, and that will close this down around here and allow this to clamp on whatever you put in here. So, for instance, this is the J920. So this is for anything between 1 1/4 to 1 3/8 inch. So if you have any stock between 1 1/4 and 1 3/8 inch, you can clamp it with this one collet. Unfortunately, I do not have the collet that, the chuck that these go in. And even if I did have it, the chances are it would probably have a standard back on it for like a cam lock or something more modern than my old lathes. So I would probably have to adapt it to my lathe. So I think I'm going to end up reselling these, because these actually are pretty valuable on the used market. But that's a really nice find there, because I think I got this for like 10 bucks. So anyways, all right, so that's a wrap. Hope you guys enjoyed this series. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. And if you're not already a subscriber and you enjoy watching these kinds of videos, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Take care.